Hey guys, it's been like forever since I've been on my channel, and even today I'm not doing this as well as I normally would do. I don't have the studio lights out. I'm not in my usual little Star Wars corner, and the simple reason is I have a baby now and he's just 6 months, and nothing prepared me for how much your whole life has to take a sidestep while your baby is the main path for a short time. So now I'm kind of getting used to things, so I can finally come back and start doing videos on my channel. But I'm not alone, he is here beside me, and he's just watching me making this video. So yeah, the Rise of Skywalker trailer breakdown. I've been really excited to get on and talk about this, and I know I'm really late with it and there's been loads of trailer breakdowns out there, but I thought what the hell, I'd do it anyway. So we were great and lucky to see a Star Wars Celebration in Chicago panel for episode 9. And we got to see a lot of things, and of course they did a first teaser trailer reveal at the panel. And my first impression of the trailer is I'm impressed, really excited, and can't wait for December to see this movie we now know, which is called The Rise of Skywalker. So I guess here we go. The first thing that struck me about the trailer was the breathing at the beginning of Rey. All you could hear was her breathing, and then we see this shot of her standing on what looks like a desert planet, looking off into the distance. And the first thing I thought was, it's very much the same as the Last Jedi trailer, where we saw her breathing at the beginning of that as well, and we heard Luke Skywalker saying breathe. And sorry, my baby's going to talk, by the way, the whole way through this. And the first thing I thought was that this might actually be her having one of her Force visions, so what she's seeing and what's happening here may not be real, but I could be wrong about that. The second thing we notice is that there is a starfighter coming towards her that looks like it's Kylo Ren's silencer, but on a closer look I don't believe it is, unless he's got a new ship. But then what occurred to me was, it doesn't look like a newer model, because the silencer was a very different design. It was very kind of slimline, sort of very advanced looking machine, whereas this one almost looks like it's reminiscent of the Empire's TIE fighters. The cockpit very much the same shape, same design, with the only difference being this bright red paint and kind of this bronzy, brassy look to it here and there. So I was wondering if in fact it's an old ship, and my theory here is that, okay, Rey may be having Force vision, but secondly maybe she isn't, and maybe this is in fact a training exercise, because where she is looks very desolate, kind of like Dagobah when Luke was sent to meet with Yoda. How do we know that Luke hasn't sent her to meet with somebody else who's going to finish that training that she started on Ashto, and that this is actually a training exercise, that this ship is in fact been ripped off by either the Resistance or by the Jedi Order or by somebody who's against the First Order, and ripped this ship off many years before, and it's maybe been hidden here on this planet, and she's been brought here to train. Because the thing that struck me about it is, as that ship was speeding towards her, couldn't it have just blasted her out of the sand? You know, because she was running with her back to it, and it was her lightsaber against a starfighter. And I kept thinking, why doesn't it blast her out of the sand? I don't get it. And then of course the thing that confuses us a bit, and we're not inclined to think about that, is the fact that you see what looks like Kylo Ren's hands in the black leather gloves accelerating that particular ship. But I think that trailer's been manipulated to look like Kylo Ren is flying it, but I don't believe he is. In fact, my theory might be that that might in fact be Poe Dameron flying that ship, and that in fact this is a training exercise. Either that or it's a Force vision. And when she catapults and literally skywalks over the top of that ship, that it's a training exercise, that she's now taking her her Jedi abilities to the extreme. So it's, you know, because we were all disappointed in The Last Jedi, because that's what we wanted to see, wasn't it? We wanted to see Luke at his ultimate best. Because, you know, in Return of the Jedi we kind of got him where he was getting there, wasn't quite there, he was pretty awesome. And when this came along, and at the end of The Force Awakens, we got so excited about The Last Jedi, because we really thought we were going to see Luke kicking ass like he had never done before. And unfortunately, I have no animosity against Rian Johnson, not like a lot of people, I really don't, but we just didn't get that. It didn't deliver. It was disconnected. The second movie was almost disconnected. Yes, I hear you, little baby. And in this one, I feel like J.J. Abrams is trying to tell us, you know, I wasn't really happy either, but I'm going to fix everything that went wrong in The Last Jedi. So here we are. We're going to get to see Rey doing the ultimate training. The first thing we hear in this trailer, and to my sheer and utter joy, was the voice of Luke Skywalker. I was so happy to hear Luke speaking. And he says, we've passed on all we know. We've passed on all we know. Now, is he talking about the full Jedi Order have passed on to many all they know over, you know, thousands of years? Or is he speaking to Rey at some point in the movie, and we're going to discover that we is actually more than one Force ghost, that it's not just Luke training her this time? Could we get Obi-Wan? You know, it might explain why we saw him working out with that beard I think it was about a year ago or so, when we were all thought there was an Obi-Wan movie coming. I have to be honest. I didn't think they were making an Obi-Wan movie. I thought that was just a rumour. But maybe that's why the beard was there, and, you know, that rumour could have been instigated to distract us from the fact that he was actually filming for episode 9, and that his Force ghost is going to be there. Yoda will be there again, which would be awesome, because that was one thing I did love about The Last Jedi, is that Yoda was there. That was cool. So you're going to have her being trained by Force ghosts, which in all fairness, that would be a first, right? In the movies, to have Force ghosts training Jedis. And I'm thinking, as Force ghosts, a hell of a lot more has been revealed to them once they've passed on to this other kind of, not so much death, because nobody's ever really gone. Maybe they've passed on to this kind of higher level of existence, and they now know more, so they can teach more. And what would a Jedi look like if they were trained by 3 incredible Force ghosts? Technically maybe 4, because who's to say Hayden Christensen won't come back as Anakin? But will he be Anakin, or will he be Darth Vader? Who bloody knows? I don't know. I'm very excited. So yeah, that's what struck me about this first scene, is that this is not in fact an attack. It's either a Force vision or it's a training exercise. I'm inclined to go with the latter for some reason. Don't know why, just am. And plus the fear that Rey doesn't really look like she's in fear or anything. She looks like she's very prepared for this. Like, she knows it's going to happen, and she's going to be doing whatever it is she does when she gets up there. So that's my thought on that opening scene. Oh, the other thing is, I'm wondering if it's Tatooine. And if so, it might explain some of the scenes then further on in the trailer with Poe Dameron and with Finn, where they're clearly on what looks like, looks very much similar to the same ships that travelled with with Jabba the Hutt's sailing barge in Return of the Jedi, when they were going to the Sarlacc pit. It looks like one of those. Not the actual sailing barge, just the smaller ships that were with them. And I'm wondering if maybe the Hutts will make a reappearance in this movie, and be looking for justice for the killing of Jabba from Leia. Because, you know, they are saying that this movie is going to be Leia's story. I don't know how they're going to do that now that Carrie is gone. Bless her, can't believe she's gone. But apparently they have. So if it's Leia's story, then maybe that might come into it, because she is the one ultimately who killed Jabba the Hutt so spectacularly, fighting for women all places everywhere, that treating women as sexual objects, not a good idea. And she really took him down within, she was amazing. So that occurred to me, that this could actually be Tatooine. It does look like, I know it was shot in Jordan, it does look like the scenes, if you remember back to A New Hope, the scenes where we saw R2D2 travelling alone, when the Jawas got him, and it does look very reminiscent of that. So I was wondering if we're back on Tatooine. Wouldn't it be awesome if the story ended where it began? And I wonder if that's what JJ will do, is it kind of go full circle. So we'll go back to Tatooine at the end. The other thing is, now we have this new little astromech. What was he called? D9? D-O, sorry. D-O, who's very, very cute and definitely one for kids. He almost reminds me of kind of a Snoopy, like astromech. He looks kind of like Snoopy. And he's with BB-8, of course. I think he'll bring a lot of laughs and fun to it. And I'm wondering how himself and BB-8 come to meet. That particular scene in the trailer where they show the two of them kind of turning their heads sideways, I took a look at the background. It looks to me like it might be the inside of a sandcrawler. And if that's the case, are the Jawas coming back? Because I'd love to see the Jawas again. That would be so cool to see the Jawas and have them back in the movie. So that's what I thought maybe a little bit about that scene. The ultimate thing I think in this that kind of grabbed everybody, well, two things. The forging of two items. One very obvious, one maybe not quite so obvious, but is there. The very obvious one is Kylo Ren's helmet being forged back together and looking very... can you hear my baby? He's making funny noises beside me. I'll show him to you now in a minute. Yeah, I wondered if the helmet being forged back, I mean, why is it being forged back? Is it for Kylo Ren? I don't know, because in the trailer we don't actually see him wearing it at any point. But then maybe that's something JJ wanted to keep very quiet for us. I don't know. Or is it being forged for somebody completely new? And it's also not being forged by Kylo Ren, because we can see those very weird human kind of hands. Skin is kind of dark and very hairy. Very hairy. At first I thought, could it be a Wookiee? And then I thought, no, it's not a Wookiee, because those hands just don't look like, you know, the hands of a Wookiee. And why would a Wookiee help Kylo Ren anyway? He wouldn't. So yeah, I wondered about that, and I'm really curious about that one. And then of course we do see a scene where Kylo Ren is doing an awesome takedown of a hooded, cloaked individual. I have no idea what's going on there. There's a lot of people saying it could be the Knights of Ren. I don't think so. I don't think they'll put that in the trailer. I don't think they want us to see that yet. I do feel the Knights of Ren will come into this movie, but I think J.J. Abrams, yeah, he agrees, is hoping that'll be kept kind of quiet as well. Of course we see Poe Dameron and Finn standing up on the rocks in maybe Tatooine, maybe Jakku. I don't know. And it's very, very kind of like cowboyish look again, like they went with Solo. And it kind of looks like they may be bringing some of that back, that kind of cowboyish feel. Because it kind of gives it a very raw and gritty look to the movie and atmosphere to the movie, and it works. I went kind of slightly off point there. I was talking about Poe Dameron and Finn. And what I meant to do is go back to the second thing that's forged. And it's Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, of course. We do see it in a holster on Rey's hips. And if you look very carefully, there's like a forged little belt clip or metal piece in the hilt, showing that it's been put back together. I really kind of want to know how she did that, because we've never ever seen one. Can you hear my son? He's practicing his breathing exercises, because I'm teaching him apnea for free diving, because I free dive. He's practicing it right now. So if you hear, that's him practicing his breathing. So I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So the lightsaber has been forged back together, and I'd really like to see how Rey did it. We know that Rey's a real techie. I mean, she grew up in the middle of Jakku, which is basically a giant bloody scrapyard. So maybe she's the one to be able to do this, to put it back together like that. And of course then we saw this counterbalance of the forging of Kylo Ren's helmet, so you got the good against the evil, and you know, I think it's all building up to something really, really huge. Don't know exactly what. I really don't, but I'm very, very excited to see. So to go through the trailer, we get an awesome shot, and it really made my heart fill with joy. It was Lando sitting in the pilot seat of the Millennium Falcon with Chewie at his side. I'm hoping we're going to get a big, massive star battle, and Lando maybe is going to do what he did before and just obliterate whatever the hell is going on. We don't know yet. We don't know anything, and that would be so cool. And he seems very happy there, as he did before. It was very much... It reminded me of the shot in Return of the Jedi when they just blew up the Death Star, and he was absolutely screaming for joy and laughing, and it really reminded me of that. And I'm so delighted to see Billy D. Williams back as Lando. That's going to bring back a lot of memories for us fans who were there for The Empire Strikes Back when we were kids. That's going to be really, really awesome. So that was great to see, and I'm dying to see what part of the story he's going to be part of. I think if it's JJ kind of kind of does this almost reincarnation thing, which is what he did with Force Awakens, because some of it was very similar to A New Hope. And people were like, oh, you just, it's a cop-out. No, I think it was deliberate. I think it was deliberate that life recycles itself, and maybe that had something to do with it. So yeah, it's going to be really cool to see where Lando goes in the story. What's he all about? Will it happen in this movie? Because look, the saga is to end. It's to end. This is it. This is the most depressing part of this film. I can't wait to see it, but at the same time, I don't want to, because I have to accept that the story I grew up with as a kid, the story that made me so happy as a child, the story that in 1983 I cried my eyes out when I thought it had ended forever, here it is again. But this time, we know from the trailer, the saga has to end, and it's going to end. Will the Millennium Falcon be destroyed in this movie? It has to be, right? It has to be, because that ship is part of the original story that we all grew up with. And I think the one way to take that whole saga down is to get rid of that ship once and for all. And I think the whole world of Star Wars fans will just die if it happens. It will just die. I think this is what you'll hear from many of us.
I felt a great disturbance in the Force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. I fear something terrible has happened.
For sure. Yeah, you will. I really don't want to see it get destroyed. I imagine that it will. We can tell, obviously. Thank you, yes. I understand, yes. I'm getting to it. I think we can see as well in this one, just judging by the reveal of the title, the font for Star Wars is in blue. A lot of people are saying the story will be about Luke. I disagree. If it was about Luke, I imagine that the font would probably be green. I think it's going to have a good ending where the Resistance will probably win because of the blue. And the blue to me also signifies maybe Rey, or can signify Ben Solo. Will he return to the light side? Will he be brought back? Will life repeat itself? Will Rey get him back? I don't know. As we went on through the trailer, we had that amazing scene at the end that blew our freaking minds. We see Poe, we see Finn, we see Dio, we see BB-8, C-3PO, I think we saw Chewie, and we see Rey standing on a cliff very similar to our cliffs of Moher here in Ireland. I wonder, is that where they got the inspiration? Picture here. So maybe that's where they got the inspiration for that. And we look off into the distance, and there it is. There it is, the wrecked shrapnel of a Death Star. A Death Star. But which Death Star is the question we're all asking. Well, I may have thought the first. I may have thought the second. But then when I heard this... I definitely thought it was the second, because let's face it, it's the second one that he was on, Palpatine, the Emperor, when that Death Star went down. Sorry guys, I started coughing, so I started, instead of putting you through that, I'd stop and start again. So, I was talking about that amazing scene of the guys standing on a cliff of a very rough ocean, not unlike our Irish beautiful Atlantic, staring out at what's left of a Death Star, and we were wondering which Death Star. Well, I really do think it's the second one, because of that crazy moment where we hear the Emperor laughing at the end, and that laugh really absolutely, completely and utterly blew us all away. The Emperor's coming back? Well, of course he could, because according to Luke, nobody's ever really gone. So is it that Rey will have her ultimate test out here? This wreckage, what the hell is in that bag? Who knows? But me, personally, I'm wondering if it's in fact the helmet of Darth Vader, because the way it's, the shape and the, I don't know, the way it's held, it's as if the helmet is upside down in that bag, and I'm wondering if there's a quest where they have to return it to the Death Star, to the death place of Anakin Skywalker. Maybe. Is this possibly why Anakin is on the cusp of still being dark or light? because implying by The Force Awakens is implying that Anakin has returned to the dark side after death. And maybe this is what they need to do. I do know from The Art of the Force Awakens, the book, if you've got that, I'm sure you know, there was artwork in that showing Anakin Skywalker with kind of half human face, half Darth Vader style face, implying that he was kind of a bit on the fence between the two. So maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe he is going to come back into it. It would be great if he did. I know we're all big Darth Vader fans. It would be cool, and it would be very cool if he's a very tortured soul, because he was. Anakin was extremely tortured and never really at rest with himself, and maybe this is how they're going to put him to rest. And I'm wondering if then maybe the Force Ghost of the Emperor still lives on that Death Star. And people, as we were saying before, people were saying that maybe that's the Endor moon, the Forest moon. It could be. I mean, it could be. I am inclined to think if it is, you know, there has to be water on the planet. How would those trees survive without moisture of some kind? So they would need it. But otherwise, it is another galaxy. It doesn't work the same way as Earth, so maybe not. And the other thing you have to think is, when you see the mass, the level, the magnitude of the explosion of the Death Star at the end of Return of the Jedi. Well, you have to ask yourself, is it going to drop right down into the moon right beneath it? No, probably not. Instead, if it's in a weightless environment, only bits of shrapnel are probably going to go into orbit and keep going till they burn up in the atmosphere and end up somewhere else. So chances are it's not the Endor moon. It's probably millions of light years away from where it actually occurred. That's what I think myself. The other thing we see in this trailer, we see the beautiful Carrie Fisher, Leia, and they are saying this is going to be Leia's story, so it'll be interesting. Will she use the Force more? That would be cool, wouldn't it? If she did. I don't think she will, because she hadn't in The Force Awakens, and the scenes they're using were shot during The Force Awakens, not The Last Jedi, unless they have stuff from The Last Jedi they can use as well. We do see that lovely scene where you see her holding what I'm assuming is Han Solo's medal in her hand, and then we see another scene of her hugging Rey, and Rey is very, 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 very upset. So I think she's going to give that medal to Rey, because she's going to reveal to Rey that maybe Han was actually her father. And I still stand by that. I always thought that maybe Han and Leia are the parents of Rey. And even though in The Last Jedi that was obliterated for us, was it really? I don't think it was. Kylo was clearly manipulating an evil little shit. Not a word I use very often on my channel. But he was in The Last Jedi, and he clearly manipulated things to get what he wanted. He wanted to be supreme leader, and well, now he is. He did that by using Rey to get there, and he manipulated Rey because he was much stronger with the Force, and you know, she was still only training, and he manipulated Rey into thinking that she's a nobody, that she came from no one, nowhere, anywhere, and that these people were dead and buried somewhere out in the desert. Really? Then why did we see a ship leave? We saw a ship leave in her vision, where she's crying and going no, and she's only about 5 or 6 years old, and we see a ship leave. How does that define that they're dead and buried somewhere on Jakku? No, they left. So I still think it might be Leia and Han, and that, you know, we do know that Han left when Kylo Ren turned the way he did, and who's to say Leia wasn't pregnant when Han left and she hid Rey because she was so frightened that Rey would end up being manipulated and brought down the same path as Ben, and she never told Han. Maybe she never told him. So I felt like maybe that was the story, and that Leia kept that very quiet because the battle hadn't ended. Things were still the way they were. Rey was still very vulnerable, very naive, and she didn't want to reveal that to her yet because she's protecting her still. She's protecting her still. And maybe in this movie now, you know, Rey looks to be very strong, the ultimate Jedi, and female. How awesome is that? And maybe it will be revealed to her in this movie that she is in fact a Skywalker, which would explain the rise of Skywalker, right? Yeah. So they're kind of my thoughts on it so far. There's probably more that will come to me, but that's kind of my main thing at the moment. I can't wait for this movie, I really can't. And I am sad that we're going to see the end of it. End of this film. Oh, so He's talking now. Apparently he's doing the vlog. So anyway, guys, I hope maybe you share some of those thoughts, maybe you don't, maybe you have different ideas. Comment below, let me know, let's get a discussion going. I'd love to hear what other people think. Anybody puts any abuse or nasty stuff underneath, you will be blocked straight away, because I don't play that game and I don't believe in it. I don't believe in nastiness like that. So yeah, you're really great. If you are new to my channel, come along with me and join the force and we can rule the galaxy together. Don't forget to subscribe. Surprised if you can hear me with him. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell so that you get a notification every time a video goes up. And I promise I will have more videos going up more frequently. In fact, I think my next one is going to be a review of the Propel drones. I got a beautiful TIE fighter, a gift from my lovely friends Kirsty and Daniel. I love you guys, thank you so much. It's an amazing thing. And I'm doing a review of it. I know these things have been on the market for years, but I've not really been in the opportunity to get one, so it was so awesome to be able to get one, and I'll do a review on that. So guys, I hope you have a great week and may the force be with you. Oh, and here's the little monster who's making all that noise. Hello, my little Padawan. Mwah. I'm so sorry. This is Jamie. Yes, he'll probably be with me in some of my videos. What are you doing? And he was watching the Rise of Skywalker trailer with me. He's awesome. So thanks guys, and have a great week, and may the force be with you. Bye.